I got my husband tickets to his dream game for his birthday. He invited his brother instead, because you don't even like sports, he said. While they posted selfies, I cleaned up the party alone. His mother walked in, took a slice of cake, and said, "Next time, get him something he wants." I didn't reply. I just opened my laptop. 2 weeks later, he got served at work, and everyone found out exactly what I'd been planning for months. I'm a 31-year-old woman from Dayton, Ohio. I never thought I'd be the type to post something like this, but here we are. I met Brian when I was 24. I was working at a small hardware store. He walked in one afternoon looking for some bolts, and somehow we ended up talking for an hour about everything and nothing. He was charming, funny, good-looking in that all-American boy way. I remember thinking, finally, a good one. We got married 3 years later. Small ceremony. Cheap rings. Lots of love. Or so I thought. Fast forward to last year. Life hit me like a truck. I lost my job at the nursing home after budget cuts. My mom died after a long battle with diabetes. My best friend moved to another state. I was lonely, heartbroken, and trying to hold our home together with duct tape and prayers. Brian wasn't much help. He buried himself in work at the auto plant. When he was home, he was either watching sports, playing video games, or out with his brother Matt. I told myself he was just stressed too. That he needed an outlet. That it wasn't personal. Maybe it was. His birthday was coming up, and even though things were tight, I wanted to do something special. He had always dreamed about going to a Cincinnati Bengals game. He talked about it all the time, how it was on his bucket list. So, I decided to make it happen. I started taking on extra jobs. Babysitting. Cleaning houses. Selling some old clothes and furniture online. I even skipped meals some days just to save a few extra bucks. It took months. But finally I got 2 amazing tickets. Not just any seats, close enough to almost touch the field. I also made a reservation at his favorite barbecue place for after the game. I imagined surprising him sweeping me into a hug, maybe even a tear or two. I spent hours setting up the house for his little birthday dinner. Balloons, streamers, his favorite homemade chocolate cake. I cooked his favorite meal too, pot roast with mashed potatoes. When he got home, he barely noticed the decorations. Barely said thanks when he opened his gifts. Finally, he got to my card with the tickets inside. He pulled them out, looked at them, and then laughed. Not a happy laugh. A "what am I supposed to do with this" laugh. He said, "Babe, you're sweet. But you don't even like sports. I mean, you'd be miserable." Before I could even answer, he pulled out his phone and called his brother Matt. Right there at the dinner table. "Bro, you're not gonna believe this. Bengals game, Sunday. You and me, man." I just sat there, fork in hand, cake melting on the plate. They high-fived when Matt came over later that night to pick up his ticket. Neither of them said thank you. Neither of them even looked at me. Sunday morning, they left early, wearing their jerseys and hats, smiling like kids going to Disney World. They spent the whole day posting selfies. Pictures at the stadium. Pictures drinking beer. Pictures with foam fingers and nachos. Meanwhile, I cleaned up the party decorations, popped the balloons, scraped plates into the trash, washed dishes alone. Around noon, Brian's mom showed up unannounced. She looked around at the half-eaten cake, the drooping streamers, the dirty plates. She didn't offer to help. She didn't ask how I was doing. She didn't even sit down. She just grabbed a slice of cake, took a bite, and said, "Next time, get him something he actually wants." I didn't say anything. I just wiped my hands on a dish towel, went to the living room, and opened my laptop. Because what Brian didn't know was that I had already been working on my escape. See, this wasn't the first time he made me feel invisible. It had been happening for years. Quiet little things that built up. He made jokes about my weight in front of friends after my mom died. He ignored me when I told him I wanted to start trying for a baby. He spent money from our joint account on beer, fantasy football leagues, and trips with Matt, while telling me we couldn't afford a weekend getaway together. He'd go silent for days after an argument, acting like I was the problem for being too emotional. Back in February, After one especially nasty fight where he told me he wasn't responsible for my happiness, I opened a separate bank account. Tiny amounts went in at a time. Enough that he wouldn't notice. I also took a remote customer service job under the table. Just answering emails and managing orders for a small company based out of Columbus. No big money, but steady enough to give me options. And I hired a lawyer. Ohio law allows for divorce on grounds of gross neglect of duty. Emotional abandonment counts. All I had to do was document everything, and I had. Bank statements, texts, voicemails, witnesses. I was ready. I just needed a trigger event. Something public enough that he couldn't spin it to make me look bad. The birthday was perfect. When Brian got home that night, reeking of beer and stadium food, he dropped onto the couch, passed out without even saying hello. I tucked a blanket over him and went to bed alone. Over the next 2 weeks, I pretended everything was fine. Smiled. Cooked. Did laundry. Played the dutiful wife. Meanwhile, I moved more money. Finalized the paperwork. Made arrangements with my lawyer. And then came the final step. Serving him at work. I knew he cared more about appearances than anything. I knew getting served in front of his buddies would crush him worse than anything private ever could. The server showed up right after his lunch break, when the plant floor was buzzing with people. Handed him the envelope. Right there in front of his friends. His boss. Everyone. He opened it and turned white. Inside was not just the divorce paperwork, but a full breakdown of everything he had done. Every dollar spent. Every text saved. Every moment documented. I heard later from one of the plant guy's wives that Brian threw up in the parking lot. That he begged his boss to let him go home early. That everyone whispered about him for weeks. He tried calling me that night. Left a voicemail sobbing, saying he was sorry that he didn't know I felt this way, that we could work it out. I didn't call back. Instead, I finished packing my things into my car and drove to a small rental I had found in Xenia. It wasn't much. It was just me and an air mattress and a microwave for the first few nights. But it was mine. And for the first time in years, I could breathe. For a while. It felt like I had escaped. I went to work every day, came home to peace and quiet, and slept without worrying about walking on eggshells. No more late nights waiting up. No more pretending I was okay. Brian didn't stop, though. He started showing up. First, it was a text here and there. Can we talk? I miss you. I don't know how to live without you. Then it became calls. Voicemails. Flowers left on my porch. The first time he came by, he left a bouquet of half-dead roses. I didn't answer the door. I watched from behind the blinds as he stood there, kicking at the ground, looking like a little boy who lost his dog. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The next time, he wasn't so sweet. He showed up drunk, banging on my door, screaming, "Come on, my name. You think you're better than me now? You think you can just throw me away? After everything I gave you?" I didn't open the door. I called the police. When they showed up, he had already stumbled back to his truck. They found him a block away, slumped over the steering wheel. He got a DUI that night. Word traveled fast. Dayton isn't that big. His boss heard about it. He got suspended from the plant, pending disciplinary review. Last I heard, they were talking about firing him. I wish I could say I didn't feel anything hearing that. But I did. Not joy. Not satisfaction. Just relief. Like I wasn't crazy for finally choosing myself. But it wasn't over yet. Brian's mom, who had never liked me much, decided it was all my fault. She started posting on Facebook. Long, bitter rants about how some women don't know how to stand by their men and young people today don't value marriage. She didn't name me, but everyone knew. Some mutual friends dropped me. Some sent me nasty messages. Some asked if I really had to air our dirty laundry so publicly. One of them, a woman named Stacy who had been at our wedding, even sent me a DM. "You should have just gone to the game. It's not like it was a big deal." That one hurt. Because it showed me how little they understood. It was never just about a game. It was everything underneath. All the small ways he showed me I didn't matter. over and over.
For years.
Still, the noise got to me. I started second-guessing myself. Started thinking maybe I was the villain. That's when I made the mistake of checking his social media. Brian had posted a photo. A selfie. Him and Matt, back at the same stadium. Only this time with the caption, "Real family sticks together. No fake love needed." That's when it hit me.
He wasn't sorry.
He wasn't broken. He wasn't learning anything. He was just mad. He lost control. I stared at that picture for a long time. Felt something in me harden. He thought he could rewrite the story. Make himself the hero.
Paint me as the bad guy.
Fine. Two could play that game. I didn't reply to his post. I didn't call. I didn't text. Instead, I called my lawyer again. I asked about the joint debts. Turns out, even after I left, Brian had kept using our old credit cards. Maxed them out, actually. I hadn't realized he still had access. I thought he'd stop once I was gone. I thought he'd have some shame. I was wrong. My lawyer explained that in Ohio, if you can prove one party ran up marital debts maliciously after separation, you can push the court to assign them full responsibility. But it would require evidence. Hard proof.
Dates.
Charges. Receipts. Good thing I kept records.
He printed bank statements.
Highlighted every expense after I left. The bars, the gambling sites, the 2 plane tickets to New Orleans, which, by the way, weren't for me. It made me sick to my stomach seeing it all laid out. It wasn't just thoughtless spending. It was punishment. He wanted to drown me in debt as a parting gift. I was done playing nice. I filed a motion to have him held responsible for all post-separation debts. I also filed a restraining order for the harassment. Texts, drunk visits, flowers, everything. It wasn't easy. It wasn't instant. But 2 weeks later, the court date was set. Brian tried to delay it. Said he needed more time. His lawyer tried to argue that it was emotional distress that caused his spending spree. The judge wasn't impressed. Especially after I handed over screenshots of Brian bragging in text messages to Matt about running up the tab so I'd pay in the end. It wasn't just childish. It was documented intent. The judge assigned 100% of the debt to Brian. Thousands of dollars. Gone from my shoulders. All on his. When the hearing ended, Brian followed me into the hallway outside the courtroom. His eyes were wild. Red-rimmed. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "You ruined my life," he hissed, his voice shaking. I stared right at him.
Calm. Cold.
"You did that yourself," I said. He just stood there, breathing heavy, fists clenched at his sides like he wanted to hit something but couldn't. Security came over, and he finally turned and stormed off. I thought that would be the end of it. But a week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Stacy, the woman who DM'd me earlier, the one who said I should have just gone to the game. She was crying, and what she told me nearly made me drop the phone. At first, I thought Stacy was calling to yell at me again. Maybe tell me off like Brian's mother had. I almost didn't answer. But her voice was shaking. She wasn't mad. She was scared. She said, "I didn't know who else to call. I think you need to know what's going on." I sat down hard on my kitchen chair. She told me that after I left, Brian didn't just spiral. He dragged Matt with him. They had been going out drinking almost every night, starting fights, getting into trouble, wasting money like it grew on trees. And then it got worse. Brian had started sleeping with Stacy. It started, she said, after a night out when he showed up at her place, drunk and crying about me. She let him in because she felt sorry for him.
She said it was a mistake.
She said she tried to stop it, but he wouldn't leave her alone. It wasn't love. It wasn't even lust. It was revenge. He bragged about it to Matt. He bragged about it to their friends. He even sent Stacy a screenshot of an old wedding photo of me and him with the caption, "Upgraded." She said she finally realized how bad it was when he told her, slurring one night, "You're just a trophy."
Just like she was.
Nothing more. She was sobbing on the phone. I should have been angry, furious. But all I felt was cold. Frozen. because somewhere deep down I had already known what kind of man he was. This just confirmed it. She told me she wanted to warn me because she overheard something else too. Apparently, Brian was planning to get even. He had been talking with Matt about finding ways to ruin my new life, about how easy it would be to trash my car or cause trouble at my new job. At first, I thought maybe she was exaggerating, until I found the note taped to my car window that night. It was short, for words, scrawled in sloppy handwriting. You can't hide forever. When I found that note on my windshield, my heart stopped. I looked around the parking lot. It was late. The streetlights flickered. No one in sight. I ripped the note off, stuffed it in my pocket, and got in my car fast, locking the doors. My hands shook the whole drive home. I barely slept that night, sitting by the window with a baseball bat across my lap, waiting for headlights that never came. The next morning, I went straight to the police. I showed them the note, told them about Brian's threats, filed a report. They said there wasn't much they could do unless he physically hurt me. They suggested a restraining order extension, but warned me it might take weeks to process. I felt helpless and furious. Brian wanted to scare me into coming back, wanted me small again, wanted me afraid. He didn't realize something important. I wasn't the woman he left sitting alone with melted cake anymore. That weekend, I bought cameras. Front door, back door, windows. I put them up myself. I took self-defense classes. I got pepper spray. I memorized emergency numbers. I didn't tell anyone where I lived now, except my lawyer. But Brian wasn't finished. One night, while scrolling online, I found a new Facebook post from him. A blurry photo of a house. My house. Captioned, "Nice place you got here. Would be a shame if something happened to it." I reported it, screenshot it, sent it straight to the police and my lawyer. This time, the police took it seriously, especially when the officers pulled surveillance footage from a gas station down the road and spotted Brian's truck circling my street, slow and steady, 2 nights in a row. A judge signed off on a warrant. He was picked up the next morning. They charged him with harassment and violating the restraining order. I thought finally it was over. But Brian being in jail didn't stop the problems. Because while he sat behind bars, guess who decided to step up and carry out the revenge?
Matt.
I found out it was Matt when I came home from work one night, and my front window was smashed. Glass everywhere. A brick lying in the middle of my living room, wrapped in a piece of notebook paper. The note said, "You made him lose everything." No signature, but I knew. It had Matt's sloppy, crooked handwriting. The same handwriting I'd seen on old birthday cards, the same handwriting from bar tabs Brian used to brag about. I called the police again. They came out, took statements, took pictures. I handed over the note. It wasn't much, but paired with everything else, it was enough. Matt got arrested 3 days later for vandalism and threats. Turns out, the idiot didn't realize my new security cameras caught the whole thing, his dumb face clear as day, chucking the brick through my window. Brian, from jail, tried to deny everything. Said he had no control over what Matt did. But the damage was done. The judge wasn't feeling merciful anymore. The harassment charges stuck. Brian got sentenced to 6 months in county jail with mandatory counseling after.
Matt?
He got slapped with fines he couldn't pay, probation, and a restraining order of his own. I thought I'd feel powerful after it all. But honestly, I just felt tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of fighting. I moved again. Farther away this time. Out to a quiet little town outside Cincinnati. Changed my number. Deleted my old social media accounts. Started fresh. I wish I could say it ended clean. That I lived happily ever after. But that wouldn't be the truth. I made mistakes too. I ignored the signs for years. I stayed when he first humiliated me. I forgave when he chipped away at me, little by little, thinking love was enough to fix it. I was stubborn. I believed in the marriage more than I believed in myself. I gave and gave until there was nothing left but resentment and broken promises. I let myself become small because I thought that's what being loyal meant. The revenge? It wasn't just about Brian. It was about me finally standing up for myself, even if it was ugly, even if it turned my life upside down. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I still flinch sometimes when I hear a truck rumble past. Still double-check the locks at night. Still wonder how it all got so bad without me seeing it sooner. But every morning when I wake up alone, in a quiet house that's mine, with no shattered glass, no drunk yelling, no guilt, no walking on eggshells, I know I won. And they lost. They lost everything they thought they could control. And me? I found peace in the wreckage they left behind. The kind of peace you can't fake. The kind you earn. The kind you fight for. Even if it costs you everything. Especially when it costs you everything.